Yo, what's up? It's Travis. First installment of the Scripts and Whips channel. Today we're doing a script, or a book, rather. I just like Scripts and Whips because it rhymes. We're going to do this book, which, as you can see, is well read and used. It followed me around in my pocket for a good 6 or 8 months. I've spoken with lots of people who said that they couldn't really read this book because of it uses kind of like old English, almost like a Shakespearean language. I really enjoyed it, so I figured I would share some of my takeaways from it. It's kind of a book of parables with almost like Aesop's fables, morals to the story and such like that on amassing your fortune, building wealth and multiplying it and such. So what I figured I would touch on with it is in one of the stories they talk about the 5 laws of gold. Gold being money, of course. The one of the characters named Arcad, who is the richest man in Babylon, sends his son out and says, if you want to inherit my empire, basically, here's a bag of gold and here's some clay tablet with 5 laws of gold on it. Well, he tells him it's wisdom, but so he goes out and he squanders it and then makes use of the tablets and makes it all back over this 10-year period. The 5 laws of gold, the first one is, gold cometh gladly in increasing quantity to any man who will put by not less than 1/10 of his earnings to create an estate for his future and that of his family. Essentially, in modern day English, save 10% of your money so that you can start to build yourself an estate and have money to invest. This is not advising you to save money for the sake of saving money, it's save money for the sake of making money. So, kind of an important core tenet, I suppose. The second one is, gold laboreth diligently and contentedly for the wise owner who finds for it profitable employment, multiplying even as the flocks in the field. In other words, your money sitting by idly is not making you more money. Your money can make you money as long as you find uses for it to do so. Sitting in your savings account with 0.5% interest, you will be here for the next 10,000 years before you make any significant amount of money. And 10,000 was just an arbitrary number. Don't really care enough to do the math and figure out how long it would take. Number 3, gold clingeth to the protection of the cautious owner who invests it under the advice of men wise in its handling. And this is something that they kind of touch on in some of the stories in the book, that if you go and invest in something that you're not familiar with and you don't take advice from people who are familiar with it, there is a very large probability, in fact it's almost a sure thing, that you're going to lose your money. You need to know what you're doing, or find someone who does. Number 4, gold slippeth away from the man who invests it in businesses or purposes with which he is not familiar or which are not approved by those skilled in his keep, which kind of ties into the last one, essentially. Either make yourself an expert or find someone who is to give you advice as to what to do. No matter how much you learn, there will always be somebody who knows more, so it's probably a good idea to find someone who knows more than you to take advice from. And number 5, gold flees from the man who would force it to impossible earnings, or who followeth the alluring advice of tricksters and schemers, or who trusts it to his own inexperience and romantic desires in investments. In other words, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. All these investors that promise you like a 1,000 times return on your money in the next 10 minutes, there's an old saying of don't look a gift horse in the mouth. That's one that you probably should look in the mouth. There is no reasonable way. I mean, yeah, sure, you can go to the casino and you can triple, quadruple, 10 times your money, but you're going to lose more often than you win. So, And then the last part, I wrote all this on a card for myself that I actually keep by my desk, all these laws. The last one is, a part of all I earn is mine to keep. So basically, it says, he asks one of the characters, and forgive me because it's been a while since I've read this book, but I just figured it would be a good one to start with because I've read it like 8 times. They ask one of the characters, how much of your money do you actually keep? And he says, well, all of it. And he says, you fool. You pay the sandal maker, the garment maker, your landlord, you pay all these other things, but you don't actually keep any for yourself. So basically, you need to stop and think. At the end of your paycheck, you should still have money in your bank account that stays for you. Pay yourself first, and don't spend everything you earn, essentially, is what that is alluding to. This is, I may, because I thoroughly enjoyed this book, and there's so many more nuggets of wisdom in there, at some point down the line I may elect to do more on this book. But for the meantime, that's all I have for today. So if by chance you stumble across this video, it intrigues you, you got another book you want me to do, you want to invite a discussion, leave it in the comments below. You can always like, subscribe, and all that jazz too. But for today, that's it, that's all. And the next video will be the second half of this scripts and whips business, which will be the whips. I will catch you on the next one. Later.